Welcome back, everyone, to What's Your Story Live. I'm Leilani Langdon, your host for this evening. And What's Your Story is a space where we get to journey along the powerful stories of others so that you, the audience, can be inspired to know, own, and share your story. For those of you who don't know, I am a licensed clinical therapist, and I am passionate about helping people own their story and go through the journey of healing those stories so they can then use them to move, to get direction, to develop purpose and meaning. And so if you are watching tonight, listen, I'm going to ask you to jump in the chat. This is a community that engages together. We connect, we talk, we laugh, we joke around. And so if this is your first time, drop a hello in the chat. Let us know where you're watching from. If you are part of the community, then go ahead and just do what you do, right? Let's just join the conversation. But I'm so excited to get to connect with you tonight. I have a couple hays coming in. Hey, Marcy, good to see you, mama. Pam, watching all the way from Toronto, Canada. Go ahead again and drop your hellos. I do want to remind you that our chat is a judgment-free zone. It's a space where we get to encourage one another, affirm one another, pray with one another. And so we need you. We want you to participate. So go ahead and let me know you're here. But as we get started, I need to, yesterday we had a Friendsgiving. I had a busy weekend. We had church in the morning, and then right between church and a Friendsgiving, I had the privilege of being part of a panel discussion for women on the concept of social media. Hey, Jack, social media, beauty, and mental health and self-worth. And so it was great, but then I had to book it literally to the Friendsgiving event that I had cooked for. My family was at Growing Academy. Hello, watching from Australia. Hello from the other side. Did you like my little rendition of Adele? But we got to the Friendsgiving, and the food was amazing. But we're gonna start with a quick conversation because I need to break this tie. The question really is, and this was a topic of conversation over the dinner table, was what pie do you prefer at Thanksgiving? Pumpkin pie or sweet potato pie? Okay, so I need you to let me know in the chat what your preference is, because I found it interesting that although I really thought, I'm gonna be honest with you, sweet potato pie, pumpkin pie, I really thought that sweet potato pie was going to win on social media. So I made a post, but it's interesting because Instagram voted for pumpkin pie, and Facebook voted for sweet potato pie. So I'm interested to know why that was, and why is it that Facebook, the majority of the people were like sweet potato, and Instagram, the majority of the people were pumpkin. So I'm getting some votes coming in. So I have some sweet potato. Oh, sweet potato. I don't know if anybody's down for pumpkin, but I will tell you, Derek Williams, you need new friends on IG. I don't know. Okay, I was looking at, because when you post a poll on Instagram, like you can see who actually, voted. And I'm like, I was surprised by some of the people that said pumpkin pie, to be honest. Now, well cooked, they taste the same. Rob, those are fighting words. So you need to be careful because Derek might come and get you. Okay. So it's up to the chef. Okay, so I'll be honest. I'm Puerto Rican. I grew up in a Hispanic household, and we rarely had pumpkin or sweet potato pie. It was usually flan. But, however, whenever we did have a pie, it was always apple pie and pumpkin pie. And to be honest, I really love pumpkin pie until I tried sweet potato pie. And then I was like, this is actually really good too. So... Rob, you're asking for it, okay? Yes, flan. Oh, we have some Hispanics in the house, Latinos who know about the flan. But But yeah, so keep your votes coming for sweet potato or pumpkin, but we know where people stand. And as of right now, Facebook is loving that sweet potato pie and Instagram is loving that pumpkin pie. So going back to before we bring on Lori, I'm so excited to have her on here tonight. And I know that you're going to be blessed and inspired, and challenged as well. But before we bring her on, I wanted to bring something up that came up while I was talking and discussing on this panel yesterday, right? We were talking about the role of social media. And as somebody who is thinking about, as somebody, as, it all depends on whose grandma abuela is bringing it. True, 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 true. But as I was thinking about the idea of, and we've talked about this on this platform, the power is in owning your story, right? You can know your experiences. You can recount them. A lot of us want to hide them and not think about them because they cause us pain, right? But in order to live a life of freedom, in order to live a life on purpose, in order to live a life that brings meaning, we need to own our stories. We need to heal from them and then allow them to help to direct us and move us in a particular direction. So when we're on social media, right, we create our own stories. We curate our feeds, our profiles. And it's interesting because I don't think it's a surprise to any one of you that it has been researched that social media actually increases things that are harmful for us, like depression and anxiety in particular. So the University of Philadelphia conducted this study where they took 143 university students, and they had two groups. The first group was told to continue to use their social media as they normally would, okay? And then the next group, the control group, was said to reduce their usage of social media to only 30 minutes a day, right? Now it's not and the reason why they did this was because they're like, it's not realistic for you not to engage with social media. It's everywhere. It's part of what we do, right? So we're going to reduce it. And it's so amazing because what they found was that by the students who actually reduced their social media usage experienced a decrease in depression and anxiety. Now, while the individuals who continued their same usage actually experienced an increase in depression and anxiety. Now, this is significant because what they did at the beginning of the study is that they charted where everybody was on a scale of depression and anxiety. And they found that even the people who still use social media but limited and had boundaries and limited it to 30 minutes a day, those individuals who came in experiencing depression saw a reduction in that depression and anxiety. And so today I want to remind you that as we live this life, right, as we strive to all want to live a life of purpose and meaning, that you are intentional about what you're consuming, that you are intentional about the things that bring you joy and the things that keep you down. And so, yes, college students, Rob. Yep. University of Philadelphia. So they did it with college students. So without further ado, I am going to bring on Lori. You guys can keep telling me about your pumpkin pie versus sweet potato pie, as long as Rob and Derek don't fight, because you know that's we don't want that. But let's go ahead and bring on Lori and get a chance to connect with her. Lori,
hello.
How are you?
I'm good.
It's so good to have you on tonight. And so those of you who are in the chat, if you're new, we usually bring up the wave emoji and just welcome Lori. If you're part of the community, go ahead and welcome her here. Here we have a couple of hi Loris coming in. But Lori, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am a mother of two. I have a 2.5-year-old and a 6-month-old. I am a wife to Jonathan, who basically we dedicate our lives to being health advocates, and we've interviewed so many experts all over the world and create health documentary series. We are currently in Australia right now. Well, I am currently in Australia. My husband. I'm like 9 days ago, he went
Oh
back
my
to the
goodness.
US, and we're trying to figure out what's going to happen next with
Oh my gosh.
everything. But yeah, so I am also a life coach, which in my story you'll find out that was just like
Yes.
nowhere near like sorry, my hair is
It's
making noise
okay.
with the mic. Yeah, so I mean, I think overall, yeah, that's wife, mother,
One
and just love to help people. So.
coach. Yeah. Helping people. Well, Lori, we're getting a whole bunch of highs, but Lori, go ahead and tell us what's your story?
Mm. My story, I guess you could say it starts, I mean, I guess what was, you asked me what was my defining moment. And I would say we were living, when we were in the States, we were living last in Puerto Rico. And
Yes.
I'm just sitting on the couch, and I was, I guess you could say, what I struggled with the most in my entire life, I've struggled with, was feeling just down in my mind. Like I didn't feel free. I was slave to my emotions, and I was depressed, dealing with a lot of anxiety, and just all the things that come with it. And so I'm sitting on my couch, and I'm just like, I've tried so many things to help. So I guess going back to when I was young, I remember learning about self-esteem in school, and I remember thinking, oh, mine is pretty low. And from as
Interesting.
long as I can remember, I was just always just kind of melancholy, just a deep thinker, but always struggled with insecurities, especially with social pressure and all that stuff. And it had hit to its worst when I got married. And
Interesting.
it's interesting. I like to call marriage like what is it called? Character refining boot camp. That's what I
Oh
call it.
yeah, girl.
Because
Yes.
and I was wondering, like, why is that? I mean, you are basically living with a mirror, right? Your spouse is like a mirror. And when alone, you can kind of process, maybe, struggle with it on your own, but you're not
Yes.
necessarily affecting another person
Yeah.
necessarily. But then when that person comes in, they see your deepest parts, they see
Yes.
your reality, and you actually get to see your reality even more so, that you didn't even
Yes.
know was in you, right?
It reflects it back. It reflects it back.
Yes,
And then you're
and
like, wait.
therefore, yeah,
It
exactly.
magnifies it. Yeah, for
It
sure.
magnifies it. So anyway, so that's it started. Around that time, I had multiple things going on that magnified just feeling the depression, the anxiety getting more and worse and worse. It got to the point where I wasn't functioning. I wasn't. I would do just one chore in the house, and I'd be out, for the rest of the day. I
Like
was easily
fatigued.
irritable. Yes, exactly. And so I was dealing with physical stuff, like my gut health wasn't good. I was just constantly in pain, constantly bloated. I wear
Wow.
like big shirts to kind of hide that. Sometimes I'd have to check out on social occasions, like I would have to check out because I
Wow.
was just in so much pain. And I was scared to eat. It got so bad during a certain point in my marriage. I guess you could say like maybe a year into it. Got so bad where like I don't know what was going to happen next. And I would say, to keep going as far as symptoms, just gut, I guess, um, you know, uh, sorry, I'm going blank.
No, no.
But
Listen, I understand.
yeah, just basically allergic reactions, like
Ah,
gut
okay, okay.
reactions. I would get hives on my skin. I would get hay
Wow.
fever, just allergies, like constantly, where it was just bad. I could not function. Pain, joint pain, headaches,
Wow.
all sorts of things. And anything I ate, whether it was good, whether it was, I was just scared to eat, and I wasn't functioning in that area. I would get chronic migraines, all that stuff.
Wow.
The other aspect of it was mentally. I was just constantly down, and actually irritable. So my marriage was really struggling at that point as well, because I mean, it's just, I was scared to feel. I was scared to feel anger because I was afraid of what I would do when I was angry. So you can imagine when you don't feel, when you're suppressing something, it's like a
Yes.
pressure cooker,
Yeah.
and it just, it,
Builds till
explodes,
it like,
right?
right.
Yeah. And then what happens after that is condemnation, like self condemnation, just being down is like, what's wrong with me? Why can't
Yes.
I this or that? At that point in time, we were learning about health, and Jonathan was interviewing all these experts. And I just didn't want to deal with any of that. I was just trying to survive. Right. But long story short, going back to, in the couch, we had gone through counseling. I had gone through treatment centers. The other aspect of it, to add to everything else, was I had a certain situation with, sexual intimacy in my marriage, where it came from like just anxiety, and it was really hard. So I ended up going to a treatment center for it. I got every time that we would go through counseling or through the treatment, I would get a little better,
Yeah.
and it would help. But ultimately, it was just I was still surviving. It would get a little better, and then I'd go full-fledged backwards, and then we'd start having struggles again, and then I would start functioning, like not functioning again. And again, like I said, that self-condemnation would come in.
Yeah.
And I just felt like, yeah, just beating myself up. Like, am I not doing the right thing? Let me try this, let me try that, calling doctors, getting tests, getting this advice. Oh, maybe I should try this, maybe I should try that. Do. It was all doing.
Yeah.
And
Result.
really no improvement.
Wow.
Right. So, and you can imagine, at that point in time, I had gone through, the first phase was that I had figured out my health. Eventually, I got to a point where, I had gotten some tests, and I came across a functional medicine doctor who, basically told me, you have parasites. You have red flags for parasites. And I'm like, what? I was, it was kind of crazy, because I have heard some scary stories about those things. And,
Yes.
but I was desperate to try anything. I mean, I had gone through nutritional, naturopaths, functional medicine doctors, the standard medications. I was on antidepressants, anti-anxiety meds. Like it would feel a little bit better, but then in the end, wouldn't do anything.
Right.
Yeah, and the thing that, what they would tell me in the functional medicine, section was, okay, well, we can help you with your migraines, and that was it. Or I would get tests back, and it's like, oh, you're normal, and I'm just like,
I
this
know
is not living,
this is
right?
not normal, right?
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, this is not living. So this doctor, basically, he was a colleague of ours, a friend of ours, and said, you have red flags for parasites. This is what you want to do. And so I went ahead, scared and grossed out, but I was just like, you know what? I'm going to try this.
It's my kind of like last ditch effort.
Yeah, exactly. And that's one thing that I will say. That is one thing that I have learned. If you understand the reasons behind, what you're doing, educate yourself to what you're doing, then go for it. Just because, because my mind would go into being tempted to think, what if this doesn't work? What if I spend all this money and it doesn't work? I would hit, hopelessness. But I encourage you not to do that. I would say, just keep trying. If it makes sense to you, what like it's talking about, what it will do, then try it. Because, and I'm so glad that I just kept trying and trying. Do not give up, because there is a solution. So I started trying it, and lo and behold, I was able to literally, in 3 months into the protocol that I was doing, literally reverse things that I didn't even know that I had. I realized that from age 13, I was starting to feel all these symptoms.
What?
I was starting to, yeah. And I was like, whoa, I actually have more energy than what I did when I was 13 years old. That's,
What?
yeah. Cause I would have
That
like,
long?
yes. I started fainting around that time. I started having low blood sugar, anemia. All those things were kept
Wow.
on through those years.
Sure.
And I was just thinking, oh, well, it's in my family. Like I'm going to get, diabetes and all that stuff. I better not, that's all I knew. But I didn't
Right.
really know all the things, that I can do now. Right. So
Sure.
I got rid, like in 3 months that I started the protocol, I was able to get rid of everything, like pains,
Mm.
migraines, felt energy that I'd never felt
Wow.
before. The
Wow. That's
hives, I could
insane.
start eating things that I could never eat before.
Mercy, Lord.
The things that were good for me, like, like things like probiotics or salads or, all sorts of different things that would actually make me sick in bed actually started working. I started actually gaining like the energy and all those things that they're good for, fruits.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Um, all those things started working. And then I still kept purging parasites through,
Sure.
3 months more. So for 6 months, I
Wow.
was, I like finally at the end of 6 months, um, I fell pregnant of Asher, my
Oh.
firstborn, and that was another situation that we were suspecting that we were having a hard time falling pregnant, and we actually
Mm.
were able to, hindsight is a lot clearer, and so we
Yes.
were able to realize that that was actually stopping. So I fell
Wow.
pregnant by surprise, and that was so that point in time I was feeling so amazing. I've,
Physically?
yeah, physically and also mentally, because it's definitely connected to your brain, right? So for the longest time I was feeling amazing, I was feeling good. That helped me emotionally, that, but then going on, and we were telling, like we were telling people, this is my story,
This
like
is
we can
working.
help you
Yeah.
too, this is working, right?
Mhm.
So we're going good, good, good. And but after having a baby, your body goes
Mm.
through
A lot of
some
changes.
hormonal changes. It gets, your baby takes a lot of your nutrients.
Yes.
And
All of them. Okay.
yeah, and so exactly. So but the good news is that I had tools, at that in that aspect, the physical health aspect, that I knew
Mm.
could help me mentally,
Mm.
emotionally.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
The thing I didn't consider though, and this is what brings me to Puerto Rico sitting on that couch,
Mm.
was that I had created patterns in my brain that even
Mm.
though I was getting help physically from my health, there were still patterns of self talk, of
Mm.
beliefs that I had that were not serving me. And
Oof, that's
and
good.
that was something that I knew, like, okay, I got the physical health down, I have the tools, all those things, but it's not enough, especially when I'm going through
Mm.
hormonal things. So I'm still keeping on
Yes.
going, finding out, okay, what are the physical things? But I would do these physical things, it would help my body, but my
The
brain was still
mind.
struggling. And the more I
Yes.
did that, the more condemnation I felt, the more I felt like, here I am, a health advocate. Here we are trying to, we're Christians. We want to share the love of God.
Yes.
We want to, and we're experiencing amazing things during that time. Like I said, we're always growing, but I didn't know. And every time I fell backwards into, like,
Mm.
just I'd blow and get irritable, and I'd say things I didn't mean and do things I didn't mean. And I found myself on the couch, like it would constantly say, "See, you're no good. See, you're a bad person. You're not making your husband happy. Look at your child. They're going to
Wow.
learn habits that you learned when you were little." And
Girl.
that's the thing, that was the one thing that I said, I don't want to give this past, all the negatives that I had learned,
Yes.
to my children. Um,
Yes.
and it kind of makes me emotional thinking about that. And so here I am,
Mm.
like yelling at them or snapping at them, or, you know, basically getting to a point where, like Jonathan had it, like he didn't want to deal with it anymore. And here I
Wow.
was feeling angry and bitter. Why can't you forgive me? Why can't you
That's
love
so
me and
real.
accept me?
Yeah,
And,
yeah, yeah.
like just learning all those things, we didn't realize, we're like, all of this stuff is, I was growing, but I would feel like I'd go 20 steps, 30 steps back. And I'm
Yes.
like, and he was feeling that too, us not understanding how this all
Yeah.
works. I felt like, will I ever learn? Will I ever be better? Will I ever be free from my anxiety and my depression to the point where I can actually be kind, be able to problem solve without snapping, without falling apart? Will I be able to allow my husband to feel love in this space, my children to feel love in this space? And I'm just getting to the point where it's like losing hope, losing hope. The
Yeah.
cycle, like when is, because it would just be a cycle,
Yeah.
not realizing that the cycle is actually a good thing. Now I know that. But back then I didn't. And I was just like, this cycle was literally getting to the point where I started having flashes of suicidal thoughts. Like I would
Wow.
literally, go be trying to get the dishes done, and this is pretty raw and real. Like
Yeah.
I'd see the knife and I'd have a flash of what I would do with it. And
Wow.
then it freaked me out. Like it's giving me
Yes.
chills because I would see my
Yeah.
son there. And that, if anything, at the end of the day, we would have our issues with my husband. But looking at my son, I would say that that is what kept me going. I'm like,
Wow.
he needs me. And I don't know where you are, God. I know you're there because you've been with me,
Yeah.
but I don't understand this. When are you going to deliver me? But I'm going to keep going for my little boy. And so that was where I was at on my couch that night. Thankfully, around that time, I was at the worst point. Like these flashes kept happening more and more and
Wow.
more. I was on eggshells. When my husband would walk in, I'd get tense. Like, when are we going to get into an argument? When is it going to end into the divorce talk? When is all this
Wow.
stuff?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
And it was just getting worse and worse. Scared that he was going to leave me. It was very codependent, kind of basically
Relationship, yeah.
just we were intertwined into carrying so much. It was attached, like our security was attached to how the other person was feeling. And I was very much like that. And if he left, it was, the fear that he was going to leave and all that stuff. I'd just go crazy, right?
Wow.
Just being real, like this is the
Yeah,
reality, like the
absolutely.
situation. And so the flashes were chronic. Long story short with that, I got a phone call. We would go to these personal development conferences, and that was helping me so much, right? But again, when you go to personal development conferences, or there's so many strategies, so much
Yes.
mind, these are amazing,
Information.
right?
Yeah.
Awesome
Techniques.
information, like techniques, right? These
Right.
10 steps to doing this, which
Yep.
are great, right? But it
Yes.
only works if you don't have blocks in your brain. If you have certain beliefs,
Yes.
even subconscious, a lot of them are subconscious, that you don't believe that you can actually
Yes.
achieve this,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
you're
yeah, yeah, yeah.
constantly condemning yourself, blah blah blah. You're gonna sabotage every time. So it's getting to the point of, like, it's not the doing, it's the believing. So I would put these into play, but they
That's
wouldn't
good.
last for very long. And then guess what? My
Yes.
belief was, this is not going to work for me. So it would confirm every time I failed, this is not working. Like I'm broken, right?
Self-fulfilling prophecy.
Seriously, yes, seriously. And that's what self-sabotage is. Like,
Yes.
I learned this through, I started getting, well, I'll go back to that, but
Yes.
I got a phone call because the conferences that we go to, the staff, they call us every now and then to see how we're doing. And the phone rang, and they said, how are you doing? And I just broke down in tears,
Wow.
and told them what was going on. I'm about to lose my marriage. At that point, Jonathan was just done. Like, he didn't. We were headed down that road. I
Yeah.
was like, I don't know what to do. This is what's going on. Is there any way that the main person can coach me? Because I have no idea what to do. That was my first experience with a coach. And what a
Wow.
coach does, it basically works with the goals that you have now, whatever goals
Yeah.
you have. And they work with your subconscious belief system in order to, I guess, just basically resolve whatever blocks you have so that you can achieve your present goals that you have.
Right.
So I started working on myself in the context of my marriage. I knew that I could not control what Jonathan chose to do, but I knew what I could work
That's a
on for
powerful.
myself, right?
That's a powerful
So
awareness.
yeah, yeah. And so I started working on that, and that's when I started getting, I started seeing the power of working with subconscious thoughts. And one of the things I learned, so many things from this coach that just really just I started getting breakthrough in the way that I interacted with people, my relationships, all that stuff, and I started getting improvement. However, it was like I guess you could say, when I was talking to you earlier, Leilani, I feel like an onion.
Yeah.
Like, in Shrek, it's like ogres are like
Yes.
onions.
Yes. There's so many layers.
I feel like an onion, because over time, like, when you start getting the help, you start implementing the thoughts that are good, and,
Yeah.
you start rewiring
Yes.
the brain, the layers just keep falling off and you feel more and more free. At that point in time, I was getting improvements to the point where, yes, we'd hit the whole divorce talk. And I was, like, I was getting to the point where I was just like working with myself. But then we could reverse it. We realized that a cycle is actually a good thing. It's like, I don't want to keep going through these cycles, but the cycles are there to remind us what character struggles we may be dealing with. It's bringing them into the light. And because if we didn't know they were there, would we know how to work with them?
Right.
And that's why I so believe in what God has to say, that He didn't believe in divorce. He only gave it to us because of the hardness of our hearts. Because at the end of the day, who we are struggling against is not the other person, it's ourselves. It's our character things. Because if we were patient, if we had the belief system that would help us to be patient and understanding and accepting of that person, because we will all mess up. All mess up. Without that self-condemnation, we are going to we're going to be able to love that person, and that person, that love is going to draw each other to, and it will help the other person grow. You're not there to fix that other person. But if you know that the only person that you can control is yourself, you're 100% accountable for yourself. That's freeing. That is actually freeing when you think about it.
Yeah.
So I learned a lot of these things. I learned the main things that I was dealing with was my identity, who I was, who I believed I am, and my beliefs on, when I mess up, what does that mean? Who I am.
What does it mean about you?
What does it mean about me? And I believed that I was no good. I believed that I was broken. I believed that no matter how many good, like, we could invest in thousands of dollars or whatever, even when we didn't have the money, we would just literally like invest so much money. And oh my gosh, here I am spending all this money and I'm not getting any better. I suck. Like, I'm broken. There's no hope for me. Blah, 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 blah. So, and that would lead to all the things that were going on in my, whatever.
That cycle of, depressed. Then you feel bad about yourself, and then you feel depressed. I'm not good enough, and then it creates anxiety because now I have to perform, and oh my gosh, I'm not going to be good enough, and it's just this loop.
It only, at the end of the day, it's only seeing that cycle of what it's reconfirming. Like, if you have certain beliefs, you are going to feel certain things. The feelings only are red flags as to what you're thinking and believing.
Yes, absolutely.
And then it turns into what you feel is like a knee-jerk reaction to your actions. And then you keep doing that over and over again. It becomes a circumstance. So all it is, it's not a circumstance. Like, at the end of the day, like, bad things can happen to two people, right? The same exact things. And because they think completely differently about that, it turns into completely different results, right? It's not the thing. It's not the, and I grew up and, like, I had a traumatic experience that happened when I was young, and it affected my, sexual intimacy with my husband, right? But it's not the thing that happened to me. It's how I coped with it and I thought about it. I was little. I didn't know any better, right? And this is what kept me going, right? But now I understand these are bad thinking patterns that are affecting me now in my marriage.
Yes.
And so looking at those things, I was able to just start chipping away at those thoughts and saying, okay, is this 100% true? 100%, not like 99, 95%.
Listen.
Is it 100% true? And two, is it serving me? Is
Yes.
it serving me? Because if it's not,
Yes.
what's the point? It's going to just
Yes.
down spiral you every time, right?
Yes. Those are amazing questions. Amazing questions. Is it true and is it serving me?
Yes. Yes. So I was just learning all of these things. And at the same time, I was getting to know who God is too, his character in a way that I had never grown up thinking about or understanding. I was
Yeah.
understanding how much more the scriptures talk about how he doesn't condemn. And this might ruffle some feathers, but at the end of the day, it's brought results in my life. And I
Yeah.
can look at the Bible and I can see it clear as day, and it connects with all
Yes.
the things that
Yes.
I've been learning. Um, he doesn't condemn and he doesn't judge.
Yeah.
Who does the condemning and who does the judging? Ourselves. We do that. And the accuser of the brethren, like he's like
Yeah,
Satan,
yeah, 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 yeah.
for those, who understand what I'm saying with that.
Yeah. Who are
But
Christians?
but we also understand how the mechanics, I was learning how the mechanic work in the brain of how condemnation, it just does not serve us. It only makes things worse. We see ourselves and we
That's
believe this
bad.
thing about ourselves that we are only
Yes.
worthy if we do good things. If we don't do good things,
Yes.
then we're trash. We don't, and this is what we believe our God believes about
About
us.
us. Woo!
Even though
Talk
we
about
can
that.
talk about mercy, we can talk about forgiveness, we can talk about,
Yes.
he's there for us and he loves us.
Yes.
But if we have that subconscious belief where we read scriptures and it does, I can say it does look confusing, right? Because he started, wait, God says,
Yes.
I hate this, whatever. But
Right.
if we don't do this, if we don't, I encourage, look that up, put it all together.
Yeah.
You'll see a completely different picture
Yes. Yeah,
of
yeah, yeah.
that
Yeah,
at the end of the
especially if you
day.
don't believe it. Like we can say anything, but if at the end of the day we don't truly believe it, then what we're going to default to is our belief, not our, you know
Yes.
what I mean? Not
Yep.
what we say.
Yeah.
So,
Yep. And then if God doesn't, if and I started learning, if God doesn't judge me and God doesn't condemn me, why would I do that to myself? Like that's not helping the situation.
yeah.
And if his judgment is straight up mercy, that's it. He wants to
Yes.
advocate for us, he wants to heal us.
Yes.
Why would I do that? And then I
Yeah.
started realizing when I get irritable, when I get angry, when I get anxious, those I'm actually making judgments to my situation. I'm making judgments in my situation, and then ultimately I believe that those judgments are coming from God. And then what happens?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
Myself wants to run away and avoid anything that
Yes.
has to do with that.
Right.
So it just makes the situation worse. Versus when I mess up, I started realizing when I do mess up, when I act in this way, when I feel in this way,
Yeah.
that's actually a good thing. It's bringing it into the light
Yeah.
so that God can heal me.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Not
yeah, yeah, yeah.
for God to say, look at you, like I've been telling you this. Now you got to deal with these, you got to deal with this,
Yes.
like shame on you. He's more
Yes.
like, come to me. Yes, you're dealing with this
Yes.
consequences. I want to wrap my loving arms around you. I am a saint
Yes.
God.
I
I
love
have
that.
no wicked thoughts towards you. I only have good thoughts
Yep.
towards you, and I want to heal you. That's what forgiveness essentially is.
Yes.
He has no
Absolutely.
need to, like, yeah, forgive us. It's more of, we have to think about it that yes, he forgives us. But it's more of not, okay, all right, I guess if you come to me, I'm going to forgive you. It's more of,
Right.
I see you. I know what you're going through.
Yeah.
I know it's because you have a misunderstanding of who I am. And I just want you to come to me so I can heal you. I'm safe. I'm not prickly. I'm not going to destroy you.
Yes.
I'm not, I'm here
I only
to
want
help you
good.
heal. I only want
Yes.
good. So I started
Absolutely.
seeing that. And it connected with the coaching that I was receiving. So finally going back to that couch moment, I'm sitting
Yes.
down, I'm starting to get the results, but I'm still like, I'm getting a lot of breakthrough. Our marriage is getting better. I realized around that point I had hormonal struggles. That was the physical part. And I got
Right.
treatment for that, and things were so much better. I started functioning more, getting more energy, all those things.
Wow.
Still struggling a little bit to survive and trying to understand all those things. I'm sitting there on the couch and I get a phone call from a friend. Hey, do you want to be a coach? And I'm like, what? Like, you know what I've been struggling. I've been the one to come to you to pray for me. And with my tears, you see the craziness in my life. And
Yes.
you are asking me to be a coach.
Yes.
And so the thing she had talked to me about, she had just been praying and God told her to reach out to me. Um, and,
Wow.
and the funny thing is that normally I'm busy around that time, and she knew that. And she's like, oh, she's probably putting her kids to bed and stuff. And then when she answered, she's like, she's going to be busy. God calls up the phone. She's like, hey, do you have time to talk? She's like, oh yeah, I just sit down. I put the kids to bed. I have plenty of time. And she's like, oh,
Oh, listen. I know about that. I know about
yeah,
that experience. Like
yeah,
like it's one thing when like you want to do it out of your own thing, but when God tells you to do something or to talk to somebody or make that phone call, you know they're going to answer. They always answer. And in my mind I'm all like, "Please don't pick up. Please don't pick up."
that's how she was going. She was just, yeah, because like, and so at the end of the day, it was really funny, like that whole
Yes.
situation. But how God had aligned it, she explained. I'm like, how can you look at me and believe that I can
Woo.
be a coach? Again, it's not, and this is the whole point of this show, right?
Ha! Yes.
Right?
Yes.
It's not about, first of all, this is one thing that I go to when I coach every time. And even now, speaking now, because I'm like, I was, really nervous, right?
Yes.
It's not about it's not about what you can do, but it's about what God can do through you. It's not about
Yes.
you. Your
Absolutely.
story can help others heal,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Um,
100. Mm-hmm.
and that is the whole point. It's not that I have my life together, right? But I've discovered the tools that actually have brought freedom
Yes.
in my mind
Yes.
and in my spirit and my
Yes.
body that I can help others deal with. And then
Yes.
having the strategies and tools to help them coach and ask the questions that help them
Yes.
like basically unlock those subconscious beliefs that
Yes.
you've had your entire
Entire
life
life. Yep.
that can just bring that freedom. So I
Absolutely.
I said yes to it with all the fear in my like, because I was just like, I
Exactly.
don't feel worthy. Like, I'm this crazy
Yes.
person. Like, you can't,
Stop.
right? So, and then talking to my husband and the investment that it would take, it was, when you look at school, college, and you look at the program, it's like nothing, but I was just
Sure.
feeling, how can I invest again, uh, like this amount of money in me? What if it doesn't work, right? That
Yeah, yeah,
temptation
yeah, yeah,
every single
yeah.
time. But I will say, what if I will ask that question, what if that is the next step towards your breakthrough?
Yes.
What
Yeah,
is
yeah,
that,
yeah, yeah, yeah.
like, what if that, and I can definitely say, when I figured out the whole parasite protocol, that was one step. After
Yes.
so many years of like, what if this doesn't work?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to try it anyways. I
Yes.
believe, I believe, and I understand what's behind this. I see the
Mm-hmm.
results. It's working to so many people. Okay, let me try
Yes.
this. So the same thing, and I found that thing, right, that
Yeah.
works. Again, with this, I would be going through the course. I
Mm-hmm.
looked at the syllabus. I'm like, if anything, I'm doing this for myself, and
Yeah.
I'm doing this for my family, and I'm doing this so that I can learn to
Yeah, 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 yeah,
communicate to
yeah.
my husband. Um,
Yes.
and so, and then, be able to do something that I love, right? I wanted to
Yes.
help people with the things that I was learning, but I was feeling stuck.
Yeah.
So at the end of the day, I went through that course, and I can tell you, out of all the years that I was feeling depressed, anxious, all the things, I was getting irritable. I felt I couldn't function. I was getting to the
Yeah.
point of so much hopelessness that I was literally endangering my life with
Yeah.
thinking, so those flashbacks. And
Yeah.
I was nowhere good. After 6 months, though, the change that, it's just like, it was like 10 onion layers fell off versus one
A
little bit
huge
at a time,
weight. Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah. The
big, massive
freedom. Yeah,
weight.
yeah, 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 yeah.
Yeah. So I discovered the strategies that I don't know. It's just it got to my subconscious thoughts. I started to
Yeah.
turn around those beliefs. Is this 100% true? Is this serving
Serving
me?
me. Yeah, I
It
love
literally is
that.
like then when we find out that our fears and our struggles, no matter how they are valid, right? You are
Yes.
worthy.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
are
yeah.
loved. Your experience is so valid.
Yes.
No matter how traumatizing it can
Yes.
be, you can look at that in a completely different light. And at the end of the day, what's causing you to do these things literally is just thoughts, just
Yeah.
thoughts. And once you
Yes.
discover what that thought is and you bring it up to the light and you
Yeah.
analyze it, but you need to not condemn yourself in order to bring it up to the light.
Yeah.
You need to embrace yourself while you're analyzing. It's okay. I'm loved. I'm accepted believing this.
Yes.
Okay, so it
Yes.
sounds ridiculous, but you're not ridiculous. You're not,
Hmm.
bring it up to the light and analyzing. Is this 100% true?
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
I
Yeah.
can
Yeah. Yeah.
guarantee you a lot of it could be true, but if
Right.
there's any part of it that isn't, okay, there you go. So what
That's the
and
space
so
to lean into.
to lean into, and is it serving me? Well, no, it's not serving
Yeah.
me. So what is the point of you thinking those things, and what
Right.
are
How
some
can we
thoughts that you
shift?
can replace it?
Yes.
So and so it becomes like, when you're scared of the monster in the dark, right?
Yes.
Sometimes when you're in the dark and you see like this big tall black thing and you're just like,
Yes.
oh, and whatever your beliefs is, like for me it's like, I'm praying, like,
Right. Right. Right.
and then
Right. Right.
I turn on the lights and it's like a coat rack, right?
Right.
Once, and then you turn off the lights and you're no longer scared anymore. It's that
I
coat
know what
rack,
that
right?
is. Yeah. Yeah.
I know
Yeah.
what that is.
Absolutely.
It literally
Absolutely.
it's a paradigm shift.
Changes. Yeah.
That's like
Absolutely.
that's what I'm talking about, what has been helping. So
Yeah.
anyways, I'm where I am now.
Yes.
I can actually feel safe to feel angry and frustrated without condemnation.
Yes.
I
That's so
can
powerful.
say, yeah, and I can feel tempted to, my old habits are there, but I can say those are just old thoughts. They're not holding me back anymore. I know, I actually thank you,
Mm.
God, for helping me go through this experience right now.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
Now I
Yeah.
still see there's still anxious parts about me. There's still
Absolutely. We're always
like belief
growing.
set, right? And
Yes.
I'm healing. I'm using those things
Yes.
and allowing them to heal me. So I'm no longer like,
Yes.
I feel happy. I can sing. I can dance with my kids,
Oh,
act
praise
goofy. Something that I
God.
just didn't. I was always like, oh, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna do that. I'm gonna feel silly, but I don't care. Like, my
Yes.
my husband
It's
and I,
truly
we
freeing.
healed in ways. Yes, we keep we're having that safe space with each other. That intimacy
Yes.
is growing strong. I'm getting breakthrough in the sexual part.
Yes.
Like, it's just,
Yes.
life is good, and
Good.
I have the tools. Like, I'm not saying that I have things in order, but I have the tools. And the more I
Yes. I
use
love
them,
that.
the more
Yeah.
practice I get, the freer I feel. I'm only just getting more and more and more
More.
freedom. And then I get to
Yes.
help people to do the same thing, which is
Yes.
something that
I
I have a
love
career
that.
that I love, right? So
Yes. So that leads me
that's
that
my
leads me to
story.
that. Yes. Oh my gosh, thank you so much. So tell me, you're going to go there. So I'm just going to ask it, but as you've been going through this shift and you've been growing and you've been developing and you've been learning and gaining the tools necessary to be free, right? To have freedom in Christ, but also freedom from the things that are holding you down. What are you doing now, and what has your story been inspiring you to move into and experience and do?
Yeah. Well, after going through coaching school, I was like,
Yes.
oh, okay, this is for me to be a coach. Yeah, I was able to become a coach. I get to help
Yes.
people with very similar
Yes.
things that I went through. And if anything, like, I get to coach myself as I'm coaching them. And,
Yes.
I've been helping, yeah, I've been able to help people restore their marriages when it looks like so impossible. I've been able
Mm.
to, yeah, just helping people do that. I'm going to be releasing a coaching course from the things that
Yes.
I learned. Basically, when it comes down to it, I learned, I would say, 5 points, and that I would say, like, those are like the toolkit that has helped me, and I keep
Yes.
implementing, and those people, like, so again, it's the physical health. Jesus healed before the person found breakthrough.
Talk about it, girl.
Right. And
Yes.
so there's
Yeah,
two
yeah,
parts. There's two parts of healing. The first one is, replenishing your body with the nutrients. But if your body is full of toxins, you need to purge it out.
yeah.
So
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
the
The
detoxing part
physical
and
healing. Yes.
like the replenishing of nutrients. Then there's the mental strategies that
Yes.
deal with your subconscious belief
Sure.
system.
Right.
And then there is the support system. The support system,
Huge.
you need a support system.
Community. Yep.
It wasn't for my friends that called at the last minute, or my mom, or
Yes.
or that phone. If it wasn't for that phone call of people just checking up on
Yes.
me, or that
Yes.
person who listened to God to ask me to go into coaching school,
Yes.
if it wasn't for
Yes.
your family, like,
Yeah.
don't be afraid to ask for help and look. And
Mm.
I will say, the people, if you want to become someone in a certain way, surround with yourself with at least 5 people that are having those results in your life,
Woo,
because
that's
you
good.
will,
That's good.
by beholding, you become
Yeah.
changed. And so the 5 closest
Yes.
people around you, surround yourself with people that actually have the results that you want to get in their marriage, in their whatever it is that you want to, whatever your goals are. And then I would
Yes.
say, and it's really cool that, like, the website is there. It's called the
Yes.
Freedom Crown. It's the
Yes. I'm
five
gonna pull
points
it
of a
up.
crown, right?
Oh, yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh,
So
look at it.
so if you need a visual, it's a crown, right? That gives you freedom of the mind and
Yes.
freedom
I'm
to
gonna
live
pull it
life
up
the
in a
way you
second.
want, right?
Yes.
And so the health aspect, then the mental strategies and the support, but
Yes.
the I would say the top, that big, like, part right
Yes.
there, I would say what you believe about God, whether you believe, if you believe in the Christian God, whatever, what you believe about God and
Yes.
how He sees you will
Mm,
impact your life, whether you
absolutely.
want to or not.
Absolutely.
And
Absolutely.
I would say that has probably been the crowning aspect, or the cherry
Yes.
on top, or whatever you want to
Hey.
say. At the end of the day, like, me believing that my father, who I believe to be my father,
Yes.
who created me, believe that he's a safe God. He loves me. He
Yes.
wants me to heal. He wants for
Yes.
freedom. I have, for freedom's sake, I have, given you freedom. Or
Yes.
um, he doesn't condemn and he doesn't judge. And if he
No.
judges, his judgment is mercy, mercy, mercy,
Yes.
mercy.
Absolutely.
That has completely transformed my heart,
Praise
my mind,
God.
my soul, and all of
Mm,
these smaller aspects of it. He gives it
yes.
to us as tools
I
so
love
that we
that.
can use. And if there's something that is missing, that's a little check off list. Like, okay,
Yes.
what's going on with my physical health? What's
Yep.
going on with, am I using the right mental strategy? Do I need to journal?
Yes.
Do I need to go find a coach? Do I need to go find
Yes.
someone that can look outside of the box and help me search in my subconscious? I
Yes.
needed that.
Yeah.
And a lot of people do. And so I
Absolutely.
encourage you to look at those things. And so that's, yeah.
My goodness. You know what, Lori, I just want to say thank you for your vulnerability, for being so courageous and brave, and going through something so difficult like that. And getting to the level of helplessness and hopelessness that you were feeling, and then to be able to sit here and speak from a place of hope and freedom and new life, right? Like, you were literally like,
Yes.
it feels like you're a new person, right? You
Yeah.
were a whole new individual.
Mm-hmm.
It's just really a testament to your decision to invest in those spaces, right? To pour
Yes,
in,
definitely.
to learn, to grow, to allow, to break the cycle, right? Like, the cycle that, I loved how you said that, right? Like, the cycle can serve you. It doesn't always serve us, but it's
Mm-hmm.
about how you use that awareness and say, okay, I know now that I really need to work on these things, and having the courage to then work on them, because so
Yes.
many of us get
Yes.
stuck in understanding and being aware of, like, yeah, I probably need to work on that, or yes, this is something that causes me pain, or I have trauma in this area.
Mm-hmm.
But then
Mm-hmm.
then we believe the lie that there, it's better to leave it suppressed, it's better to leave it hidden,
No.
when the reality is that the healing comes by revealing, right?
Yes.
You are healed when
Yes.
you can reveal it, when you can bring it to the light so that the darkness no longer has power. And so that is truly what I admire about your story, because you did that. You literally did that. And so I just want to encourage those of you who are watching that that if Lori did it, you can do it too. So before I have you, I pull you off screen, I want to show you I want to pull up your website so they can see your beautiful page. But just if you guys want to follow up and stay updated with her, if you want to learn more about what it is that Lori does and how she does it, and share you know, just see what's going on in her life, you want a discovery call, you want to just gain more wisdom and information, go ahead to thefreedomcrown.com, and we will post it in the comments below. But Lori, I just want to thank you so much again for your transparency, and I'll see you in a little bit, okay?
All right, sounds good.
All right, thank you. Guys, you know, I just want to encourage you, as we heard with Lori, to really lean in. We don't need to live a life chained. God calls us to be free in Him, and that freedom comes when we can work on, manage the things that we've been given, when we can begin to heal the wounds that we're so afraid to address. And so I just want to remind you to continue to push, to continue to work towards owning your story, to heal and to move forward. What time is it in Australia? It is, Lori, send me message me in the chat. I think it's Monday. Today's Sunday, right? Monday. Wait, hold on a second. It's 12:57 p.m. on a Monday. So we're literally, she's literally a day ahead. Robert says, toddlers fall 1,000 times and never once say this walking thing is not for me. Thanks, Lori, for not giving up. Yes, yes, yes. And so I just want to encourage you guys to continue to push and be inspired, to grow and to not stay stagnant. I love what Rob said. Post-traumatic growth versus post-traumatic stress. You need to, that's like a hashtag / just copyright that. Absolutely. I love it. Post-traumatic growth versus post-traumatic stress. As always, I want to share some ways that you can support. You can share this What's Your Story episode on social media. You can subscribe to the YouTube page, Leilani Langdon, and catch up on all the other episodes from season 1 and season 2. Some incredible stories there. And also you can donate to What's Your Story Live on Cash App to continue to support this space. And I want to invite you to come back. Let your family and friends know that next week we will be sitting down with wow, my brain, Lori and I were just talking about this. After having 3 children, it's so easy to forget to things, right? But we'll be sitting down with Denise. There we go. Denise Defoe. And I'm so excited to to have this conversation with her as we wrap up. This month is National Adoption Month, and she has an amazing story from the perspective of the adoptee. She was adopted, and she's going to share her beautiful journey of trauma and growth and restoration. And so we invite you to come next week. And I will see you all next week. I want to remind you that your purpose is found in knowing, owning, and sharing your story. So the question is, are you ready to share yours?